Okay, hello everyone. Nice to see so many friends and family members here. Maybe two people that I don't know beforehand. Nice to meet you too. Okay, so my name is Raisa Foster, and yes, I want to welcome you to the closing conference of Art-Eco Project, entitled Art, EcoJustice and Education. So during these next 3 days, we are happy to share some insights of our project and also presentations from our collaborators, Finnish as well as Americans and one Canadian. And also we have invited some guest speakers to our conference. So thank you very much, all the presenters, for helping us to create this very diverse content to our event. So we will have a very broad spectrum of presentations touching the topics of social and ecological justice. And it actually seems quite impossible to pin down these very current themes under to a certain academic field. So instead we feel that it's actually very important to deal with these issues in multidisciplinary collaborations. And after this conference I have this small hope that you will feel the same way, and you will also nourish and generate conversation and action towards a more sustainable future in your own communities. Okay, so once more welcome. And no, this one, and then here, this one. I have two computers to deal with. So I will use now this opportunity to tell you about the outcomes of our research project. And first, for those who are not so familiar with our project, Art-Eco is an independent research project, so we are not associated with any university. Even we are very thankful for example, the opportunity to have this conference now in the University of Tampere and work closely with the Faculty of Education. And also we have collaborated with the Eastern Michigan University, especially with Rebecca Martisevich and with her students. And Art-Eco is funded by Kone Foundation. For 3 years, we started in 2015, and the money is almost gone. So by the end of this year, almost everything is finished. So there are actually only 2 researchers working with the grant money, Jussi Mäkelä, who is eating there his lunch, and myself, who hasn't eaten, so I might be a little bit more confused and weird as normally. But so our budget was about 250,000 euros, and from which 200,000 euros was covered by Kone Foundation. And the rest was then covered by some smaller personal grants and funding. And we have organized 5 different academic events and 2 art festivals during these 3 years. And then Jussi and I have had together about 20 artworks and exhibitions. So this is the quantitative part of my presentation now. Listen carefully. 8 peer-reviewed articles. Wow, amazing. 2 other articles. 3 books. Hopefully next year will be 1 coming out or 2 coming out. 20 conference presentations. We have been everywhere. And we have also been lecturing and reviewing, consulting, mentoring. We have done so much. Money well used. But for what and why? Environmental disasters, animal abuse, wars, racist and sexist crimes. These are daily news from the traditional social media of in what state humankind has driven itself and its planet. We live an era of eco-social crisis. In this presentation, I show how through art-based practice we can challenge what I call normalized pathologies of our modern society, and furthermore, I imagine what else could be. I will first outline the multidisciplinary theoretical framework of our research project. And in our project, we have also used different methods of art-based research, which give access to various normally marginalized experience and voices beyond modern assumptions and stereotypes. And on this basis, I conclude that empathetic ecological humanity means responsible humans who understand their interdependence with more than human world, and who celebrate the diversity of people, other animals, and ecosystems. And at the end, I want to emphasize the importance of multidisciplinary and multisensory practices in rethinking education towards sustainable future. The starting point for the whole research project was when we met our mentor, Rebecca Martisevich, and when she introduced the framework of EcoJustice education to us in 2014. The principal aim of EcoJustice thinking is to understand and protect the essential interdependence among humans and with the more than human world. It is crucial to acknowledge the fact that we are mutually responsible to and depend on others. Any assumption that we are superior to or outside this interdependence will cause damage. And thank you, Rebecca, I'm probably like quoting you, because this is from our book Prospectus. So I don't know who has written, we all together probably, but you know, thank you for these words. So EcoJustice practice works along three interrelated strands of analysis. Oh, sorry, where did I go? The first involves an understanding that the present problems of ecological and social violence are rooted in our taken-for-granted value-hierarchized worldview, including science-based rationalism, instrumentalism, and individualism. These have to be challenged in order to change the course of action by regarding all life as equally valuable. The second strand is focused on identifying those patterns of belief and behavior that lead to mutual care and the protection of more sustainable ways of life. This process is named Revitalizing the Commons. The third strand argues for imagination as an important means of engaging the forms of responsibility needed to generate healthy communities. So we must imagine that it is possible to live ethically on this earth and what that could look like. EcoJustice thinking borrows also from ecofeminism, which combines, of course, feminist and ecological themes. Its key research topics include a critical interpretation of the culture-nature dualism caused by the patriarchal worldview. According to ecofeminists, the exploitation of both women and our ecologies is due to hyper-separation between culture and nature. For example, men and rational are always seen as superior, and in contrast, women and emotionally, for example, inferior. In addition to ecofeminism, our artistic work and thinking are also influenced by ecophenomenology. Ecophenomenology examines how the tradition of a continental philosophy can inform the questions of environmental ethics. Ecophenomenology emphasizes the importance of experience in our attempt to research the world, but it also aims to challenge the anthropocentric conception of experience. The significance of experience can be described, for example, by using the concept of asubjectivity, that that is a quality between different realities that cannot be fully restored to a subject or an object. So, for example, the meaning of a forest walk does not only arise from the psychological content of my mind, nor on the objective features of the natural environment, of the forest, but instead on the direct encounter between the forest and me. In our task of trying to formulate what empathetic ecological humanity could be about, several concepts and their definitions have been influential to us. In the modern Western society, we think of a body as only biological, anatomical, and physiological entity, something that functions without the conscious efforts of a person. In contrast, the phenomenological concept of lived body refers to an experiential extension, where the body is conscious of itself and which we also call the self. So the lived body is the unity of body, mind, spirit. In other words, it is bodily, cognitively, and spiritually present in and of the world. David Abram coined the term more than human world because he was frustrated with the terminology of environmentalism, which contrasts humankind and the rest of the nature, by using the word nature as something totally separate from culture. So his phrase reminds us of the fact that human culture is only a subset of a larger set, that the human world is necessarily interrelated with more than human world. In my dissertation, I formulated the pedagogy of recognition in 2012, borrowing from Paul Ricoeur's lexical and philosophical analysis of recognition. In my pedagogy of recognition, I first claimed that we should shift our action from conceptual knowing to perceptual recognizing. Second, I suggest that education should move from supporting egoistic self-esteem to critical and interrelational self-recognition. Third, I claim that education should move from the model of possessive relation to others towards the mutual recognition of all life forms. Jussi Mäkelä is using the concept of social sculpture, which he has borrowed from German sculptor, teacher, and political activist Joseph Beuys. Through his whole artistic career, Beuys concentrated on developing a new kind of understanding of art that would lead to a social organism as a work of art. Beuys seems to refer to the social organism as something that we have a power, freedom, and responsibility to shape. Society is our work of art, which we have made and which therefore also represents our sense of aesthetics, the things we value. Elisa Aalto and Sami Keto have recently released an insightful book about empathy. They describe the position of empathy in the contemporary world by using theories of psychology, philosophy, and biology. They ask, how is empathy associated with moral, cultural, and political issues? And how does it affect our ability to share this planet with other beings? Especially Elisa's conceptualization of body empathy and reflective empathy resonate well with our understanding of empathetic ecological humanity. The problem of academic research is that it often reaches only the members of our own scientific community, and at most a few professionals working in the field, and maybe some family members who are forced to come here. So there is a hope that we are going beyond. So in our project, we have used several different arts-based research methods. One of the main features of arts-based research is its ability to engage with a broader audience than what traditional academic research has been able to. Especially in the fields of social and ecological sciences, art-based research has become increasingly popular. And it has proven to be a reliable method, especially in researching experience, as well as bringing out the voice of people living in the margins. Unfortunately, I can't go to the details of our methods. Again, we are cutting the arts here. But I'm showing just pictures and telling you what kind of art practice we have done. So we have, this one, created installations, exhibitions, festivals, movement-based practice and performances. Antti, you are there with me. Videos and films, sculptures / installations. You see, you didn't send me pictures, but he's showing Tom, so I chose, I guess, good pictures from his Facebook page. And then also, there is one missing, but poetry. So, by combining artist practice and theory, what we have actually found out, what are the results of this project? First of all, through our work, the normalized pathologies were reaffirmed as key issues in the human and more than human disconnect. Hierarchized dualism, rationalism, individualism, instrumentalist, centric thinking, etc. But our research project found 3 important practices in an attempt to overcome these normalized pathologies. First, we should cultivate multisensory experiences. Second, seek balance. And third, recognize diversity. During this research project, I have guided sensory walks to different groups of people. By being in silence, closing our eyes, we can better focus to other sensibilities than just rational. We have made various movement and body awareness exercises. We have focused in particular on the presence of breathing and our tactile sense. It is our sensory body that binds us to the world, as Maurice Merleau-Ponty has said. So based on our research, we claim that through multisensory bodily practice, we can truly find and understand our vital connection with more than human world. By borrowing Boy's theory of sculpture, Jussi suggests that the most important task for responsible humans is to find a creative balance between chaos and order. We are making a mistake of considering chaos as a threat, something to be defeated or controlled. Can we put the lights on? Someone said when they came in. I was glad that someone said that. When in contrast, chaos could be seen as the pure, unfettered energy that makes life possible. The current state of our world is not a result of trying to find and maintain a balance. In the light of Boy's theory of sculpture, Jussi argues that we have instrumentalized or ignored totally the pole of organic chaos and forced pretty much everything into a determined form, often with measured monetary value. With artistic practice, we can celebrate also the creative force of chaos. In the world of instrumental values, it is radically political to let the other to be another. Challenging dualism does not have to mean sinking into sameness. It only intends to remove the hierarchy. After all, we need diversity for life to be possible. And the recognition of diversity also vital for healthy ecologies of humans. Artistic activity where we don't worry about what the participants don't know or are not capable of doing, but on the contrary, where the practice starts from the recognition and celebration of what the participants are capable of doing and who they basically are in their difference, is empowering for the participants, but it is also a powerful political gesture. For example, contemporary dance, which starts from the dancers with disabilities and their own expressions is not worse than able-bodied dancers' movements, but it's only different. Authentic and honest communication of movements overcome the normal different hierarchy. Then the objectifying diagnosis of a person with disability loses its meaning, and the other appears as an equally valuable subject. Art practice does not offer ready-made solutions or quick fixes to problems, but it plays with different possibilities and endorses imagination. I hear from the participants of my multisensory movement workshops one sentence more often than any other comment. I didn't know that this kind of world existed. As an artist with an intention to engage the public with critical imagination, this is the best response that I could wish. Dualisms are illusions. Art-Eco Project has worked in between of these opposition poles, especially in between of theory and practice, mind and body, self and other, human and other than human, masculine and feminine, abled and disabled. For example, in the practice of body awareness and movement improvisation, we can see how the body and mind are not separate. Movements can generate different sensations, emotions, and also memories in our bodies. Movements can also take the mover to the experience of I-lessness, to the disappearance of the ego. I already wrote about this in my dissertation, but in a kind of social context. Now it comes to the ecological context. So I coined the term I-lessness in order to describe the state where the ego does not exist, but the experience is still very much alive, and the self is intertwined with other and the world. The self kind of merges into the world, and the world merges into the self. However, this feeling of merging does not mean falling to the sameness, into the sameness. In short, I-lessness is experienced as the disappearance of the rationally controlled and constructed I, but not the disappearance of the self. The state of I-lessness can only be understood when we abandon the dichotomies of mind-body, self-other, reason, nature, and search for mutuality in relation with others and in the living space of in-between dualism. I-lessness is a rejection of extreme subjectivism, which highlights the individual and independent self over others. On the other hand, the term refers to the overly accentuated position of objectifying and judging I, and also I, that is in control of everything. Dancing is an activity which is typically excluded from men, because dance as a bodily practice is considered something feminine. The hierarchies, dichotomies are also dangerously grouped together. So the man is using his rational mind and not his sensual body. He is not spiritual, but rational being. These qualities make him a real man. In the bodies of dancing men, which I have researched a lot, we can hit right in between masculine and feminist dualisms, and also those others, rational, spiritual, rational, bodily. And also working with people with disabilities has shown me that art can offer a tool for everyone to express themselves and also to recognize their own abilities. Through art, we can also present the experience of people with disabilities and open discussion about restructuring our society in a way that the diversity would be better and more positively recognized. Art-based research can help us to see in between dualism and to imagine beyond the limits of objective and rational realm. So, coming down from all our findings, we claim that empathetic ecological humanity means humans as responsible and reflective bodily beings who understand the interdependence among others, other animals and ecosystems, and who recognize the diversity of all life forms. In Art-Eco Project, we have looked at the features of modern Western society and how they have caused the emergence of ecosocial problems. Rationalism, mechanism, and individualism, as well as the belief in continuous economic growth, are currently ruling the political decision-making in Finland. On the basis of our research, we claim that the current education policy that is only devoted to technology and natural sciences can lead to severe social and ecological problems. Accordingly, we are afraid that the abolition of arts, social sciences, and humanities from curricula leads students to a distorted view of the world. The normalized pathologies of modern thinking have penetrated all the levels of contemporary practice, even in the green politics. For example, bioeconomics is marketed for us as clean technology, which of course reduces the use of fossil fuels, but which is still referred to us as a bio-resource, meaning that trees are only seen as instruments for us to use and in the benefit of economic growth. The so-called instrumental approach also leads us to see students as learning machines, which we have to program with right kind of information. In our project, we also believe that it is problematic that this right kind of information is only considered to come from natural sciences and the use of technology. Of course, we need technology and science too, and we have been able to get a lot of information, for example, about the severity of climate change. However, despite all the information we have, we don't seem to change our behavior. If the principal objective of the research project was in fact to find how to educate towards socially and ecological sustainable future, our research has shown that integrating arts-based practices consciously to knowledge-based learning situation is one way to do so. Our American collaborator, Nick Morris, there you are, has told us how he used to do environmental education by guiding nature tours, naming the different species, revealing facts about ecosystems to his students. However, he has noticed that that has not helped his students to find a true connection with the natural environment. They didn't return to the parks. Collaboration with Jussi and me allowed Nick to realize that getting to know the environment in a way artists do can make people to appreciate nature in a new way. By throwing yourself on the ground, listening to the birds singing, your eyes closed, and feeling the sun on your skin, so doing things that you are not normally doing and are totally useless and irrational, can make you to notice the intrinsic value of plants and animals. So we adults actually should maybe just return to that what children seem to do naturally. Reason which opposes itself to the body and nature is fixed to the dominant position. All rational activities are seen as more valuable than those involving the body. However, the practice that highlights the importance of the body, our sensory experiences and emotions, does not imply abandoning all forms of reason, science and individuality. We don't have to turn to Trump or anything like that. Val Plumbo has said that, not the Trump part, but before what I said. And she continues, rather it involves the redefinition or reconstruction in less oppositional and hierarchical ways. Or as Jussi has discovered, our responsibility as artists and educators, or as any human being, is to find a balance between chaos and order, emotion and reason, action, reflection. In our project, we have also come to know that the will to protect animals and nature comes from the experience of authentic contact between humans and modern human world, and not just by knowing the facts. Similarly, in order to give recognition, for example, to people with disabilities, we have to understand them as much more than their diagnosis. Internationally, we Finns are often praised because of our connection to natural environment, and also of our broad general knowledge that our amazing school system provides. However, our American friends have been terrified of the current education policy in Finland. For example, about the planned high school reform with ranking tools. Our American friends cannot understand why we would want to repeat their mistakes. Our Project Bold approach to combine art and science in an environmental research project based on social and educational sciences has attracted interest, particularly in the United States, where in fact our research results have already been applied to the environmental engagement in Ohio, which you will hear more about on Wednesday from Nick. So, what we have done during these last 3 years could be called arts-based eco-justice education. Our arts-based eco-justice practice does not only aim to reveal the problems of modern thinking, but it also helps to imagine, to see and feel in and through art what else could be. We believe that with a phenomenological attitude and critical approach, we could all educate and create art that changes the world. Not a small task. Thank you.